Curtis A reached out to me, said make a theme song for my show. Said alright, just give me all the details, man. And my homie says he don't know. Well, if you're gonna pay me big bucks, cause I might should have something to say. He said, you know what I bring, I'm the customizing king, nothing else matters anyway. So is he gonna have guests? I don't know. Is he gonna go live? I don't know. What time will it be? What will you see? I'm pretty much in the dark, but I can guarantee you'll be customizing action figures, getting paint all on his fingers. It's art by Ackerman. It's art by Ackerman. Tips and tricks and conversation, sharing his gift with every nation. It's art by Ackerman. Art by Ackerman. You best get ready, cause now it's time for Art by Ackerman.
All right, hello everybody. It is time for another What's on My Desk. We're doing a live one. I am at home this week. I'm not traveling, so I figured I'd just go live. So we are going to be working on a tusk today. And I've already started painting on some of this stuff here. So I started with a tusk sentry, and I had marked off some of this stuff with blue tack for areas with the joints where I didn't want to paint. And then I did a gloss black on these parts. And then I did a color shift paint. It's a Vallejo, I think it's like electric blue, something violet, right? So depending on how you look at this, in certain lights it looks purple, in certain lights it looks blue. It's probably going to have a hard time showing up on camera because something with the way that camera lenses pick up stuff, it can't catch the two colors at the same time. So you're not really going to be able to see too much of the color shift, I don't think, but trust me, it does look purple from some angles and blue on some others. So we've got that part down on here, and now we're going to go in and start working on some of like the details on here and whatnot. But first I want to show you kind of what I was talking about as far as the blue tack goes. So like this is one where I'd covered it with the blue tack and then, painted it. And now I've pulled the blue tack off, and I've got another piece here that still has this on here. So just gonna start peeling this off. And, typically it'll just come right off, no problem. If you ever have any problem getting the blue tack off, the key to removing blue tack is more blue tack. So you just kind of ball up what you've already pulled off. You just kind of dab it against it, and it'll peel off those remaining pieces. So that's what I'm doing here, just getting off the rest of that blue tack. So that one's done. So we've got both those legs. We've got both the lower part of the legs. Don't have any on this. Let's move that to the side and grab this with the alligator clips over here. Let's see, that elbow is good. This elbow still has some on it. So basically what I was trying to do here is just block off all of the joints, because I didn't want to get a bunch of color shift paint in there and then you go and move the joints and it all rubs off. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave that century color on there for the joints, and we're even going to incorporate some of that color throughout the rest of the figure so that it looks like it's supposed to be there. And then we're going to mix some other colors in with it, which we'll talk about here in a second. So throw that in there. Let's see, the one hip joint, I've already taken it off, but the other one still has some on here. So let's get this off of here. Let's see, element of crafting, silly putty works really well. Yep, silly putty works well here. You can use Vallejo masking. I use blue tack because I've already got it available. It's already here on my desk. I'm using it for other things. No sense in buying another thing to use for something that I've already got, here. So just trying to be resourceful. But yeah, if you've got silly putty in your house, because you like Sunday comics or something. I don't know. I don't know why you would have silly putty, but if you already have that, for sure use that. If not, blue tack is your friend. So get that piece there. I think I might have had some around the bottom of the hands too. Let me take a look here. No, I did not. So those are good. So I think we're good with the blue tack at this point. Oh, still got one more arm here. Let's see. Steph says, "Can we see your thumbnail?" There you go. That's a piece that I was working on yesterday. I had some detailed metallic parts that I was doing, so there's still some of that on there from that. Let's say hello to the chat while we're going through here. We got Jeffrey Evans out there. We got Elemental Crafting. Both Orkins are here. Thrall FR Glory and Guaisagwe. So, and G says that he wishes he had some silly putty. So much fun. Yeah, for sure. All right. So I think we're good there. So next step after I've got kind of this main color down is to figure out which colors we're going to use and where we're going to use those colors, right? So one color I know I'm already going to use is this gray because I've already got those on the joints. I'm going to try to incorporate it throughout the rest of the figure as well so that it looks like it makes sense. And for that, I have this bottle that I've mixed up called Century Goodness. And I'll be honest, I can't tell you what's even in here. I know it's got a couple different Citadel paints. I think it might have some Soflat in it. But basically what I do is I come up with a mixture in a bottle. I fill it up and color match it to the Century, typically by putting it like on a neck peg. So I'll take like a Century neck peg and just paint the very top of it. And once I get it to the point where it matches it, I fill up a whole bottle of that into here and I just keep it to the side because I've got a bunch of Centuries and I use it a lot. But it's a mixture of different colors, so I couldn't really tell you what all is in there. I do know that it's some grays. I think there's like a green in there. But yeah, so there's that. So I know I'm going to use that. And then if I pull up the color wheel here, so I've got this like blue that goes into purple, right? So it's like blue under some light, it's purple on the other. So across from that would be, like across from the blue would be orange. And let me take that down for a second. So this is the blue purple kind of. So across from blue would be orange, and then across from the purple would be green. In between those is yellow. So really any of the three of those I could probably use. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of go for like a space military vibe. So I'm going to actually use the green. And I'm going to start with this Soflat Olive. And then I've also got this Citadel Militarum green. And I'll probably try to make this look, like I said, like a little space military vibe. Maybe a little inspired by the ATL figure coming out for Toylanta. There is a review of that up, an early kind of in-hand review from Purple Gang Gang up on their channel if you're interested. So this is the Soflat Olive. Sorry, this is the Militarum green. I forgot I still had the color wheel up on there. So that's what I'm going to do there. So I think I've got my kind of main colors. And now it's a matter of figuring out where I want to put this stuff. Now, as I go and paint a figure, if I don't know kind of what, like if I don't have a plan ahead of time on what's going to be done, a lot of times what I'll do is just start from the bottom and work my way up. So I'll start with the feet, kind of pick out which details I'm going to paint what colors. and then work my way into the lower legs. And then once I get the lower legs, work into the upper legs, and so on and so forth, and just kind of build the figure as I go. So I really don't know what the end product is going to look like until I get done. Now, sometimes I will do all that planning ahead of time because I'm going for a certain look, or maybe there's a tribute that I'm doing or whatever. And so I want certain things to be certain colors. But in this case, I'm just kind of playing around with these multiple colors and trying to see what we come up with. So I'm going to grab my little feets out here. And then I will go ahead and grab the lower legs as well. And we'll grab the ankles, which are, do I have, I think I might have those behind me. Hold on. Let's see. Nope. They must be on alligator clips here. Let's take a look. Yep. So, if I didn't remember that I did those in that color, I thought that I left those in the century color, but I guess I chose not to. So, all right, let me put this stuff to the side. Steph says, "All love you and Darla. We love you too." Um, absolutely. All right, so let me get my wet palette out and put that over here. All right, so let's see. We've got just some black, because black's always good, some century goodness, and some green. So let's take a look at this and kind of see what we're looking to do. Um, so I know we have some parts at the joints that have this like tubing, and the tubing I think would look kind of good if it was, we've left that gray here. So if we've got tubing here that's gray, and then we've got tubing on the back of this that's, we might want to paint that also in that same gray. So all that tubing's the same. Might want to paint this tubing gray, which, we could have just marked this off, but we didn't. I don't see, there's a lot of details in here, but it's a lot of like bolts or screws in here. So what I think we'll do is maybe do this. Let me get my X-Acto knife out. So maybe do like a green here. There's like this little square section. Do some green there. Maybe green around this ring and around that ring. And then probably just some black dots and maybe even black for this bolt. Yeah, I think that's probably what we'll do for the feet. And then as we move into the lower leg, we'll do the tubing in that gray color. Try to do some accent with some greens and some blacks, and the same thing over here. So, all right, so we kind of got a little bit of an idea. So don't need any gray on this part. So we're just going to get some of the green and the black out. So put some of that on my palette. And I will keep an eye on the chat as I go. And so if there's any questions, I'll try to answer that as well. All right, now let me see. Let me try to get my lighting such that I can see what I'm doing, but you guys can see what I'm doing too. So I think that will work there. Let's start. This is a 0. Is that going to be small enough for the, I don't know that is. Let's go with, here's a 5/0. We'll start with that. So I'm going to, let's see. I think I'm going to do the green around those first, and then do the black in the center. So just kind of making sure I got the right consistency there. This is kind of some detail work, so paint the back of my thumb. All right. Now, what we really don't want to do here is go into the area that is the bluish purple metallic, the color shift, because normally we would say, hey, we're not too worried about it. If we have to touch it up, we'll touch it up. But this stuff is not the easiest to touch up because we had to put gloss black. Then we ended up hitting it with that color shift paint through an airbrush. So going and touching this back up would not be the most fun experience. So we're going to, as much as possible, try to avoid those areas. Um, if we needed to touch it up, we probably could. It's just not going to be a lot of fun. So color shift paints tend to work a lot better through an airbrush. Um, so just FYI. Eh, all right. Now I'm going to get that big ring here. If I go over on the inside, I'm not worried about that because I'm still going to repaint that black. But I don't want to go over to the outside into that metal part. So and I'm not super happy with this brush that I'm using. I think I'm going to switch brushes. It's kind of got a little bit of a split there, and it's wanting to go in two different directions at the same time, and I'm not real happy with that. So let me take a look. I just tried to straighten that out, but we're gonna give you one more shot, guy. But if you do that again, we're gonna take you out of circulation. Let's see. See, now it's splitting here again. Let's see. What I may do, let's just give this guy a trim. Let's see. Where are you splitting at? Yeah, you're a little tricky son of a gun, aren't you? I'm gonna try you one more time, but you're not making me happy right now. It's still splitting. So I'm gonna put this guy to the side. I'll try to fix him later. Maybe cut off a couple of those strands that are shooting out to the side, but he's gonna make me mess up and it's gonna make me angry. We don't want that. Let me try this other one here. This is another 5/0. Get a good point on this one. Looks pretty decent. Hold on. All right. Let's see what we got with this one. Yeah, that's looking better. Okay. Let's see. You talk about Gundams. I've never painted a Gundam before. They're cool looking, but I've just never done one. So, but all right. So now we're back in business. We got a new 5/0, not brand new, but a different 5/0 that we're using. And we're back to this ring. Let's get that thing colored in. Okay, so that middle part we're going to paint black, so I'm not worried about how that looks right now. Move over to the other side. Make sure I don't touch in the areas that I've already painted. So just careful where I'm grabbing this. Got it a little bit over on the bottom edge. So I'm gonna grab one of these little cotton swabs. Just get a little bit of water on the tip and then use that to kind of clean this up. There we go. So these things are awesome. They'll save you when you make a mistake. So as long as you catch it quickly. All right. Start on this big one. Now, as I'm painting these small details, you'll notice on my hand that's holding the paintbrush, I usually will stick my pinky out and either balance it on my other pinky or somewhere on my other hand or even on the product itself as I'm painting it, or sometimes on the table. But I want to kind of hold it somewhere because that's going to help me to keep my hand balanced and not, shake as I'm painting those details. So and that just kind of becomes, habit, just doing that and keeping it all nice and steady. It really helps when you're doing like eyes or any kind of tiny details. Um, yeah. And then one more ring here. See, this is a project that I've been wanting to work on for a little bit now, and I've gotten started on it, but I've been doing so many other things for the channel that it's hard to just kind of sit down and paint. So I like when I'm able to do these live on a Wednesday because then I can just sit here and paint and work on this stuff and answer some questions and all that kind of jazz. So let's see. I've painted a Zeku, colors of Squid Game. Oh, that's cool. Uh, G says he's going to catch the replay. Kevin says, "What's up? What's up, Kevin? How you doing, sir?" Just doing some century painting here. So, all right, starting on this other foot. Now, I could like hit that first one with little heat gun and dry it quicker and keep working on it. But um, I've got another foot to work on anyway. So what I try to do as I'm painting is if I can have a couple things that I'm working on at the same time, it helps me to just keep going and let it air dry. Um, Anytime that you can let your paint air dry, I think you're better off than trying to speed it up. That's sometimes you can make some mistakes by trying to warm it up and dry it quicker. You can either if you're working with like really thin paint, you can kind of make it pool up in certain areas or blow it out of areas that it was pooling up that you wanted it to. Um, so it's not to say that I don't use a heat gun or hair dryer to help me out, but if I can avoid it because I've got other things to paint, that's what I'll do. So trying to position this to where it's in a spot that you guys can see it, but also I can see it through my magnifier. So if you're having trouble seeing, or if I need to adjust it at all, just let me know. Also, I am checking comments every so often. So if you have any questions or anything, hit me up and I'll take a look there as well. All right, work on the other side. And now in these little circles. See, now the cool thing about um, these centuries or this tusk body, and really a lot of the horseman sculpts, is there's so much detail to it that, like, even with this same color pattern, I could paint the same figure multiple times and have a different color scheme each time, even with the same colors, because there's like this time I'm painting the rings and the circles and stuff. Next time I may skip those, not paint those, but paint the outlines of these other areas, or like these other crevices and stuff. So depending on which details you choose to paint, you're going to come up with a different look, even if you use the same color pattern. So, or color palette, I guess I should say. But that's what I love about these, is there's just so much versatility. So, all right, put those down, let those dry a little bit. Let's move on to the lower legs. We're going to come back to those feet. We'll touch up all that grain, make sure that it's nice and covered, and then hit the black areas on there. But let's break out some of this, what we call century goodness. So now this is a couple different colors, so I'm actually going to probably hit this on my little vibrating shaker over there. So that's what you're hearing. And just make sure it shook up real good, because we did mix multiple colors, and we want to make sure that, you know, we got that all mixed together well. Okay. So this is my Century mixture that I've come up with, and I think the feet are going to be good. I don't need to do anything there, but I'm going to do the tubing on the back of these. So let's go with this number 0 brush. And let's give it a little bit more water. Okay. Let's make sure that's not in your guys' way. How is that? I think that's good. All right, so we're just doing this like tubing kind of area here. Now, if I would have kind of thought about this a little bit more before I started painting these, it would have been smarter for me to mark this area off with, you know, some sort of masking or the blue tack or whatever, like I was doing, because then I wouldn't have to paint this right now, but it's all right. That's why we've got our Century Goodness mix together, so that we can do stuff like this. And once again, we're just trying to make sure we don't go over in the areas that we want it to be that metallic color shift, because that's not as easy to touch up as the other parts. So we're just trying to be careful as we go. Okay, so that tubing looks pretty good on the back of that. Put that to the side for now. Steph says, "You got this." Thanks. Appreciate that. Right. finger right there. Try to balance this. All right. So we'll come back to this and make sure that there's no areas showing, because I'm using thinner paint. I watered it down a little bit so I can get a nice layer on there. So I'll have to come back and hit it again. But at least the details look fairly crisp. So I'm just going to have to touch up those areas where I'm seeing, the metallic still shining through. But good with that for now. So we'll come back to that. All right. Let's go back to the feet. So starting with this one, we're going to touch up this green. Just make sure we've got full coverage here. So anywhere where I'm seeing kind of the metallic shine through, just making sure we got that covered really well. Nice base of the green. And then we'll hit it with that contrast. And then we'll do the black parts, and then these pieces will be done. So looks good. On this part here, once again, just trying to keep off of the blue and purple metallics, but make sure we got a good base on here. Okay. And this is going to be black anyway, but make sure. I went a little bit over there, so let's get another one of these cotton swabs. And all right, it's right here at the top. Cool. All right. Go to this other one. Hope everybody's having a good week. Hope you guys have found some time to be creative and play. That is it's important. Keeps you young, So alrighty. Get on the inside of this, make sure this is done well. Okay, I think we're good there. Just double check this one. I think we're here. Let's just go over this part real quick. Okay, so I think that's good now. Once that dries, we'll hit that with the Militarum green. And oh, I forgot to do the little square bit. You guys forgot to remind me. So I need to do this piece right here. I'm not putting that on myself. I'm putting that on you guys. You're supposed to tell me. Let's say, hey, Curtis, remember you said you were going to do this part? Oh, yeah. Forgot all about it. Thanks for reminding me. I appreciate it. So you can see it's still kind of see-through there. It's thin paint. So we'll have to come and hit that again. But so we're not done with these yet, but you can see how it's starting to, get a little color difference in there and look kind of cool. All right. Okay, let those dry a little bit. We'll go back to these lower legs. Get that 0 out. And just checking this for some areas where that metallic is coming through. All right, I think that one looks good. Grab that other one. And you can see this is the color that I've got mixed up, and then this is the actual Century color up here. So it's pretty good mix, pretty good color match, and it like I said, it takes several colors to get there. So what I don't want to do is have to match that every single time. And I'm not really good with, keeping that notes of that stuff. Like I know I was talking to Zombie 13 the other day, and he was showing me like a sheet that he's got where it's got like all the mixtures of, what makes what. And yeah, I can't do that. I'm not a, 2 drops of this and 1 drop of that and 5 drops of this kind of guy. I just gotta mix it up until I see that it looks the way that I want it to look and go from there. So sometimes that takes a while. So if it's a color that I'm going to use often, like with this Century Gray, I'd rather mix a bunch of it up and just have it and then not have to worry about it for a bit till I run out, and then I got to make a whole bunch more. So these dropper bottles that I use from Monument Hobby will hold about the equivalent of like 2 Citadel pots, maybe even a little 2.5. So you can get quite a bit into these bottles, and just kind of keep them for a while. So, all right, now let's go ahead and open up this Militarum green. We're gonna get out our fidget popper. Actually, before we do that, I just realized, to connect the feet to the lower legs, I need to do the ankles, and the ankles do have some of that tubing on there. So I'm gonna get some of this gray on that real quick. And then we'll go to the Militarum green. Because I don't want to finish the feet, finish the lower legs, and then go, oh, I can't connect these yet because I've got to still paint something. So trying to be somewhat, I don't know, orderly with this, like have a certain, pattern or when I do what things, but my brain also jumps around a lot, so it's hard to say if I'll be able to do that or not. I was having some really rough ADHD brain on the weekend, and I was jumping from one thing to another and not accomplishing any of it, and I ended up just having to make a list, of the things that I wanted to get done that day, and that seemed to help. I was able to kind of start knocking some of it out then, but yeah, sometimes if it's just too much and I don't make a list, I'm just going to get part of 10 projects done and no projects completed. So, but today we're only focusing on one project, and it's just the individual parts that need to be done in order to make that work. So, shouldn't be too bad. All right. Pretty good start on that. Put this over to the side. Make sure grab this other alligator clip holder. Some of those around. There we go. Do my best to try not to drop anything today. So far, been able to do that, but may have just jinxed myself. No, that had too much water on it, and it started just kind of running. So, all right. That, folks, is where we're supposed to check the consistency before we start putting it on the figure. There we go. I think I might have also had just a little too much water in the brush itself, and it was coming out through the paint. Okay. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to throw them out there and I'll respond accordingly. If you're watching this on the replay, feel free to throw the comments in there and I will respond after the fact. We got another package from the Horseman came in today, which is nice. Haven't opened it yet. I know it's just a bunch more necro figures, but it took a unique path of travel to get here. So I live in St. Charles, Missouri, which is kind of west of St. Louis, Missouri. And the package went from New Jersey to St. Louis, and then from St. Louis to St. Charles, where I'm at. And then it went from St. Charles to Florissant, which is, like north of St. Louis. Then it went from Florissant back to St. Louis. Then it went from St. Louis to Kansas City, Kansas. Then it went back to St. Louis, then back to Kansas City, and then finally got to me today after like 12 days. So I'm not sure what the post office was doing, but it did finally arrive. So I was not in a hurry. I already got my all in, so these were just kind of extras. Uh, just thought it was interesting that it kind of jumped all over the place. So at one point it said missed delivery, and it looked like they tried to deliver it to somebody else's house in a different city. So so that was interesting. But all right, put this to the side. Let's go back to the feats. All right, let's get some of this Militarum green, and we're gonna probably be using quite a bit of this, so I'm just gonna try to pour some in here. This is a little fidget popper thing you can get. It's supposed to help you kind of, I guess keep yourself occupied, de-stress, whatever. But it works really well for like shades and washes and contrasts. So that's what we're going to use it for here. I'm going to use this zero brush. Actually, let me grab a different zero, just because I'm using that one right now for detail painting. So here's one. So we'll use this for my contrast today. And we're just going to go over these areas that we already did green. So get this here. All right. So we're just going over these green areas. And your contrast is, thinner, like thinner than regular paint, but it has still kind of a high concentration of pigment. Um, so not quite like a wash. Um, it's just something a little bit all on its own. Okay, got a little bit of a, like, looks like either paintbrush hair or something. Yeah, might have been from that cotton swab earlier. So get that off with the little tweezers. Okay, it's starting to darken that area up the way we want to. Put that over to the side, go to the other one. Go to that rectangle on the front. And then over to the circles on the side. All right. Go and hit some of these black spots up now. Just go back over here. And we're just going to hit these dots. And then this kind of like screw in the middle. It's like a flathead screw top. Flip and get the other side. All right. So I think that's pretty good. Put that over the side, let that dry a bit, and we'll come back to it and make sure that all the details look nice and crisp. And then after that, probably call that one done. Yeah, that has a little too much water in it. Try to soak that up with the brush. That worked. Luckily, the area that I was putting that black in was right where that like flathead screwdriver type piece is, or screw head piece is. So even though it had a lot more water than what we wanted, it just kind of gathered up in that little crevice, and we were able to soak it right back up. Had we been painting a tiny detail area where it was like right up against the other parts, that could have been bad. But all right, that one's good. Hey Benny, what's going on, man? Just doing some painting. So, oh, I just heard my voice from downstairs. Darla must be watching me. Hello. She is lurking in the shadows, not talking in the comments. Oh, there she is. I called it. All right. I think that one's now done too. So I don't know that I need to do anything with the gray on here. There's no tubing on this section. So I think we're going to call those done. We'll take a look at them in a couple minutes after they dry. Just make sure there's no areas that stand out as, not looking right. Let's go back to these ankles. Let's take a look at them. And I think they look pretty good. I don't know that I need to really do anything on this one at least. Let's take a look at this other one. That one needs a little touch up. So I can see some of the metallic parts coming through. And I can also see that there's a lot more water in that brush than I wanted to. So I normally just use the parchment paper for my wet palette, but lately it seems like I'm having a problem with too much water coming through. And I don't know if they just changed the material, if they made a thinner material that they're using for the parchment, or what's going on. But yeah, I'm definitely having more problems with that lately. So I ended up ordering some of the papers that come with the wet palette that you're supposed to use. And normally in the past I wouldn't use those um, because they were a little bit too thick for me, and um, they seem to not let enough water through. But because I'm having the opposite problem now, I'm going to go ahead and try them. So we'll see. So got those coming in the mail, and we'll try those out. I also got a different sponge um, as well, just to try that and see if maybe that will affect things. Because, like, you want enough water coming through that it keeps your paints moist and they don't dry up on you. But you don't want so much water coming through that it's actually thinning it too much to where it's, not usable because it's like liquid. Um, so, so hopefully that'll be here in the next day or two, and I can try that out. The other thing is that I was just recently working on with a different type of paint and testing it out, and it's much thinner than what I'm used to. Um, so I think the wet palette papers would help with that as well. Looks like Jeff Ray is back. Must have slowed down at his work. Okay. So let's pull out these lower legs again and see what we got for details here. So, all right, so we got the tubing area covered. Now this rectangular type piece here, I guess it would be a trapezoid, is actually, I don't know. Don't listen to me for geometric advice. Anyway, but this section here looks very similar to the one that we did on the feet. Um, so I think we're gonna do that green right here, and then maybe this area goes into this up here. Let's see what makes sense. This area here definitely looks like that there. So green, green, maybe even green here. And then over here, if we do this ring green and that ring around the flathead green, then we can do the same thing on this side. And then probably black around this like jet contraption down here. And maybe like these little dots I could do green as well. So, all right. So we kind of got an idea. Let's start working on this. So, yeah, see, this is definitely letting too much water through. These paints are getting way too thin, way too easily. And I tried doubling up on um, the parchment paper. That didn't work because then the bottom one stayed intact and the top one started peeling up, and it was not good. So I think we're gonna have to just kind of struggle through until those papers come. Hopefully, Amazon doesn't hit me with that same thing that post office did, where sending stuff to like a bunch of different states before it gets to me. For a while there, they were doing pretty good as far as Amazon goes because they put in a new facility in St. Louis, and so there's a few times last year where I would order something and I would get it the same day. Um, but lately, it seems like it's taken a few days. Anywhere from, I don't know, 3 to 5 days. So, which is still not bad in the grand scheme of things when you think about it, but compared to when we were getting it same day, it's not nearly as good. um, the only thing worse than that is when Amazon ships to USPS to complete the delivery. Yeah. Yeah, I know I know FedEx has a program with the post office to do that as well. I think some other ones do too, maybe even UPS, because it's like a lot of those companies do a really good job of shipping cross country, but they don't necessarily visit every house every day like the post office does. So they kind of run, whatever kind of tool that they've got that says, okay, for this particular package, it's going to make more sense for us to ship it from this state to that state and then hand it off to the post office to make the final delivery. Um, so, yeah. Now I'm trying to see. There's an area here. Okay, I thought I went out of the detailed area real quick, but I did not. It's got a sharp edge. So, yeah, this paint is so thin that I'm not getting hardly any coverage on this. This wet palette may make me finish early today because it's not wanting to cooperate with me. I want to finish early, but I also don't want to be dealing with paint that's so liquidy that it's not covering anything either. First time that it like just runs over the metallic part that I don't want it to be on is probably going to be when I go UK. I'm done. So, but starting to come together. Starting to see some of those details popping and taking over. All right. I'm just kind of moving it around at this point because it's so wet. So let's throw this over the side for now. Grab this other one. All right. I mean, the good thing about this is that I'm just using the color that's straight out of the bottle. So if it is too liquidy, I could always just grab some more and thicken it up, but without having to mix a certain color. What did we do in that? We did this piece here and then the piece up top. Okay. So many details on here. I'm trying to keep straight which ones I've painted on the other side to make sure I'm doing the same thing. Well, either everybody stopped watching or everybody's just really quiet today. I'm not sure which is which. Maybe people just put this on so that I can talk softly and put them to sleep. Maybe it's like an ASMR video. Try to loop it for 20 hours. And Darla says she's listening to my soothing voice while playing WoW. So that's World of Warcraft out there for any of you people that may not be in the know. I haven't played in a couple years now. She's probably still chasing my achievement number, try to pass me. She's been trying to do that since we met, but probably still way far off. Can't compete with my achievements. Jeff says, still on his screen in the BG while he works for another 30 minutes. So, well, I hope you're having a good day at work, Jeff. All right. I've got a little like pink thing up here, and I don't know. I think it's just like a fuzz that was in the air. Yep. Yeah, that was it. So, all right. Not great coverage on there because it's thin, but I'm going to put that to the side. We'll take a look at the first one again. All right. Let's kind of touch that up. We'll hit it with the contrast after we touch it up, and then start adding those black accents. I was kind of expecting Darla to come back at me with that whole crack that I did on achievements, but maybe the truth just hurts. I don't know. She might be like scoping out some sort of new mount or something, some sort of special drop. Maybe she's too busy. Is too busy to catch you. Yeah. Knowing her, she's either trying to get some sort of really special, crazy achievement, or she's just like working on like dailies or something. So I actually haven't even looked at the achievement count in a while. She probably passed me a long time ago. Like playing Candy Crush. I had to stop playing because she was just way too far ahead. There was no way I was ever going to catch her, so I just gave up. I don't know if you guys remember Words with Friends. I don't even know if that's still a thing, but we played that for a little bit before we actually saw each other in person. And she just whooped my butt, man, which is probably not a surprise for those of you know, have listened to me try to read. Uh, but yeah, man, she would crush me at Words with Friends. So I just like stopped playing. Like it would be my move, and I would just not make my move. Like, no, forget it. I'm done. You're too good. But now she ends up reading stuff to me. So who really got the last laugh? Right? Exactly. I think I might have needed to use a smaller brush in this section. I think I'm going to have to clean that up a little bit. It's funny. She says, hey, hey. People are going to be watching this on replay, and they're not going to be able to see the chat. They have no idea what the heck I'm talking about. But hey, next time you just need to watch live, folks. Then you'll know. You can interact with the chat. Plus, let's get real. Who's going to be watching this live or on replay? Oh man. She's typing something down there. I hear her fingers going doot, 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 downstairs. It sounds like there's a burn coming my way soon. Either that or she was just tapping on her keyboard playing. I don't even know what expansion World of Warcraft is on now. It's starting to look a little bit better. That thin paint is starting to, finally layer up and get coverage. Jeff says those are wild keystrokes. It must be because she hasn't said anything in a bit, so she's ignoring me. She's just banging on that keyboard. Probably doesn't even know what spells she's casting. Speaking of World of Warcraft, I used to like just going on there and fishing. Just like it was very relaxing. I'd listen to music and fish, which is really weird because I hate fishing in real life. So I'll fish on a video game, but I won't fish in real life. It's too boring. So what is she saying now? I never ignore you. You're unignorable. I don't think that's a word. I think she might have made that up, folks. Oh. All right. And go back to the feet. Just double check because I saw some streakiness there. Normally, after a contrast, I would try to go back in and do like a dry brush over it, but these areas are too small to really hit with a dry brush. So I'm just going to try to go over this one more time with the contrast and smooth it out a little bit. Some of that streakiness. Now that was way too wet. See, and that is not on a wet palette. That is in that fidget thing. So I'm thinking that maybe I'm getting too much water in the paintbrush itself when I'm cleaning it. And then maybe it's just coming down after the fact. Interesting. Interesting. Jeff says it's a word. Unignorable. And then he's got a bunch of letters after it that doesn't make sense. Unable to be ignored. So, yeah. I don't know. I think Jeff had a seizure while he was typing. All right, that looks good. Let's take a look here. Be able to start Nope, there's still some areas that need a little touch up before we hit the contrast on this. But the feet are done, so we'll let that dry for a second. We'll start putting the ankle pegs in there. But in the meantime, we'll work on this. Touch up the last bit of green on here. Let's see. Just as last WoW expansion released on August 26th, 2024, called The War Within. Level cap 80. So, okay. I know they keep changing that level cap. Like it's like they'll raise it for an expansion and then they like later on they'll lower it back down and make the cap lower and like just make everybody redo their talents and stuff. And then the next expansion come out and it'll go back up again. So it's kind of weird. It's like they're afraid of triple digits. That always sucked when you had to redo your whole talent tree and everything and start over. They'd nerf some abilities and then make other ones like more powerful, and it's like learning it all over again. All right. I think that looks pretty good. I think that one's ready for contrast next. Go back to this first one. Let's see. Last triple digit level cap was 120 for Battle of Azeroth in 2018. There you go. Jeff hitting us with those WoW facts now. So Jeff, are you just looking that stuff up, or are you a player? Let us know in the comments. Get this top part up here. I should just had Jeff come on the show with me and keep me company. He could interact with the chat that's so booming right now. Do this like Tanya does her little thing on Saturday, the Mod Squad. If you haven't checked that out, Legions Ladies, Saturday mornings. Usually her and Stacy. I think they were initially planning on having other folks in there too, but I haven't seen that yet. So, but yeah, they just sit around painting on Saturday mornings. You can hear all the birds chirping out Tanya's window. So, let's see. Darla says War Within went back to 80. Jeff said, quick to look it up. I'm no player. I had to stop gaming because I was addicted to some of that. I would play until midday the following day of starting. Yeah. Yes, you should have, but you're giving me a hard time of recent. Oh, please, Jeffrey, you know you're loved. I think sometimes you just you get that little younger brother syndrome where you feel like you're being picked on even if you're not. I mean, heck, you're Legendary Prime. Okay. Where are we at? We were going to attach the feet to the ankle pegs. All right. So let's go ahead and pull these out. These are just these little kind of cotton swab on a stick. And I was using that to hold that and be able to get a grip on it while I'm painting. Make sure I get any of the blue tack out of there that's in there. All right, then we'll heat those up. On these Tusk ones, the big like flathead, screw or bolt or whatever goes on the outside. So this would be the left foot, and this would be the right foot. So just as an FYI, let me grab my heat gun. Let's see. Jeff says super chat. But it's not a real super chat. It's just him saying super chat. All right. All right. Here comes the heat gun. FYI. Let's see. Can I mute? Let me mute this for a second. Maybe. Yeah. Well, yeah, you can't hear the heat gun because I muted it. But now you should be able to hear me. Hopefully that's warm enough that I can get this ankle peg in there. And I tell you what, ankle pegs are the bane of my existence. I can't stand though. It's just so difficult to get them in and out. Every other piece is just a lot easier than that. So let's see. I'm gonna try to grab needle nose pliers. Hold this here. I'm gonna try to heat that foot a little bit more. Let me mute. And unmute. All right. Let's try to shove this in the rest of the way. All right, I think that's in there. Let's take a look. Yep. All right. So we got that in there. Got a little bit of paint rub here, but we'll touch that up here in a few minutes. All right. Try to work on this one. Oh, muting. You know what? Not muting. Here, you can hear the heat gun. All right, grab that other ankle peg. Yeah, well, there you go. Some people may like the heat gun, so give the people what they want. Oh, look at that. I think it popped in there just right. Woohoo! Look at that. Beautiful. All right. So, got our feet there. I guess a little bit of paint rub, but we'll fix that as we go. All right, let's go back to, well, let me put the heat gun back up because I just went to go reach for something and I almost burnt my arm on it, which would have been bad. So, all right, let's pull out that other zero brush right here. Let's get some of this contrast on here. Let's see if we can get up till there. I won't be live next Wednesday because I'll be on the road kind of. So hopefully I can get something, another what's on my desk recorded so that I can drop that for next week. I don't know if Jeremy's got a show tonight. I think he does, but I'm not positive. So if anybody out there in comment land knows, let me know. And he talked about the retailer wave last week. And I mean, they do have the oh, what is it called? The date, the for the retailers for Necro. So I guess you could talk about that, but it's not really much new. Maybe he's got something else going on. He does. He says he's doing a Q&A. Okay. Q&A. Gotcha. That should be interesting. Hopefully folks remember not to ask stuff that's out of bounds. I'm sure he'll give a whole list of, don't ask about this figure or that figure or when this type of character is going to come out because we're not going to answer that. So follow them rules, people. Follow them rules. Would you call me an AMA within reason? I guess. I mean, if it's within reason, then is it really an AMA? It's not, ask me anything shouldn't have restrictions. but it'd be like a ask me some things, AMS. That's what it should be. As opposed to here. Here, you could literally ask me any question you want, and I will do my absolute best to try to answer it. That is a challenge to the chat. And that includes Darla. Darla, if there's anything that you've ever wanted to know, this is your time. It's your time to shine. Watch her ask something like, when's dinner? Hey, you got Alexander out there. What's up, sir? How you doing? Just doing a little painting here, a little tusk repaint build. Alexander Deshaw, aka Drunk Gizmo Customs, will be at MesquiCon soon. March 21st for the Mythic Meetup and March 22nd for the show. If you're interested in some fountains, dios, stables, and more, come to MesquiCon. He will get you hooked right up. Also got Carver Customs is going to be there. You'll have the one Lord Stephen Bisciotti with some of his painted stuff. Yeah, should be a good time. I'll be there. Old Jesse will be there. Me and Jesse together. If you want to see the entire cast of Shooting the Shelf, yeah, come to MesquiCon. Have the whole Wolf King booth going on. You have the entire crew of My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me and the entire crew of Shooting the Shelf. So let's see. What do you have planned for your MesquiCon and Legions Con table? Hopefully he must be talking to Alexander, because I am not bringing anything to MesquiCon other than Darla's capes. Did you ever make those mini-verse things? Yeah, I hate them. I've done a couple and neither one of them have worked for me. So yeah, not a fan. I think they're a cool idea, but no matter what I do, I can't get the resin to like harden. And even if it did, it still has like bubbles and stuff in it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's for me. But anywho, all right. I think I know I didn't get a whole lot done, but I think I'm gonna call that for right now. I need to get these papers for this wet palette. There's just too much water coming through here. So basically just got feet done. Got to do a little touch up on the ankles, lower legs. We're almost there. We got to do the black parts. We got to touch up some of the contrast paints on here. But then lower legs will be done. And then we'll move on into the upper legs and just continue to build this figure up. So look for more on this. I will be, continuing to work on this and kind of post progress as I go. But yeah, I think that's we're gonna call that for a day. Any final ask me anything type questions? This is your chance while I start cleaning this up. So yeah, hit me up. Let's see. Alexander says he has some ideas. Oh, he has some new tables. Oh, new tables, like mythic tables. Gotcha. I think he's in a different spot too. I think he moved across the way and he's gonna be next to Wolf King. So that'll be cool. Jeff says he digs the progress so far. The Lord of the Rings ones are kind of a pain. Yeah, yeah. The Harry Potter ones weren't bad. And I like the little like anvil and stuff like that it comes with. It's just like those swords. Those swords are, yeah, they're not great. So, let's see. I'll put this back on here. Uh, I will try to pour some of this contrast back in here. We'll see how successful we are with that. There we go. Then I'll clean these brushes and call it. So, um, yeah, I think that's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. For those that joined live, anybody that watched on replay, didn't get much accomplished today, but sometimes that's just the way it is. Just a little bit at a time, and start piecing it together, and eventually you'll get there. I'm rather slow when it comes to this stuff. This is I am not a fast customizer. I don't whip these out. So I just take my time, try to make sure the details look the way I want to, and eventually it gets there. But let's see. Uh, Alexander says, not really a question. Just want to thank you for the chats recently. Absolutely, man. I love talking to folks and especially my good friends who I'm going to see really soon at MuskeeCon, Michigan. No, March 21st for the Mythic Meetup, March 22nd for the show. Be there, folks. It's a great time. It's my favorite show of the year. Hope to see you there. Hope you enjoyed this. And until next time, folks, keep creating. Bye now.